Hey everyone, this is Georgia from iMore. Welcome to our weekly show focused on everything iPhone and iPad, from news and views to help and how-tos. This is iPhone and iPad Live. It's February 29th, 2012. Happy leap year. And joining me tonight is co-host of Viderate and CIO of Nickelfish. It's Seth Clifford.
Hello, Georgia. How you doing?
I'm good. Kind of working with the lights, but besides that, all is well.
Yeah, it's a good day. We have a fun new Avengers trailer to watch.
That was pretty sick.
Yeah.
And also joining me is the editor-in-chief of iMore and the co-host of Zen and Tech, which will be coming up in a moment. Renee Ritchie.
I'll be your Huckleberry. How you doing, Georgia?
Tombstone. Love it. I'm doing well.
Are you going to say something or just sit there and podcast?
Yeah, I'm just going to sit here and podcast.
You're
But I'll
amazing
probably
if
say
you do.
something at the same time.
What were you going to say, Seth? Something about skin into something?
No, I said, say when.
Say what again?
Never mind.
So it's fitness week.
Month.
Oh yeah, it's fitness month.
It went by that fast for you, did it? It was like a blur.
It has gone.
I wore a Yoshi backpack. I danced and it was over.
Oh,
It was a fast month.
Yeah, that was a really quick month.
Yeah.
I was wearing my Nickelfish hat though.
Nice. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of use out of that hat. Thank you very much for that, Seth.
Yeah, a lot of mileage.
I think you might want to take it back.
We've used it for terrorism and we've used it for Snooki. That's quite a combination.
Time terrorism, you used it.
We used it for temporal terrorism.
Yeah.
We assaulted a DeLorean with it.
That's true. And you and I. So we are nearing the end. Yes, it's the end of fitness month. And are you feeling any more fit, Renee?
Oh, no. It was like one of those things where I got miserably sick in the middle of it and injured and all sorts of stuff. So I tried my best to keep up, but it was as much triumph as it was tragedy. And I think that holds true across the Mobile Nations empire.
I thought it was pretty good. I actually loved one of the accessories I thought really did inspire me to keep up with it.
Which one was that?
That's the Wething scale.
Oh, nice.
Here, I'll show it, though it's not looking as cleanly. I was hoping to clean it right before the podcast.
Yeah, you reviewed that for us. Was the day before yesterday? That was awesome.
Yeah. So it works really nicely.
Nice.
And yeah, I like being able to have everything kept track of. So
we've got a roundup of every article on every Mobile Nation site that went up this month. Crackberry, tons of stuff, WP Central, Android Central, everything you could ever want. And a lot of the stuff is device agnostic. You can use it with iPhones, Androids, Blackberries, Windows phones, whatever you want. So we have a roundup post. It'll be in the show notes. You can check it out and you can look at the total tonnage of Mobile Nation's fitness coverage. I was pretty happy.
Yeah, we went through all kinds of different things. And if you're interested in fitness, take a check because we had some great ideas, wonderful suggestions, some amazing things happening in the forums, and a lot of other people were also getting fit at the same time.
And we're going to continue. It is by no means over. We're not going to focus on it exclusively like we did this month. We're going to keep doing fitness coverage each and every month, and we might do a fitness month again in the future. And Kevin wants to bring in physical therapists and nutritionists and exercise people to do some expert coverage for us. So it should be fan-fracking-tastic.
Nice.
I like it. I think it's a great idea.
Yep, me too.
And Renee, you have a new post that's going to be going up is it every week? Is it every month?
Every Sunday.
It's from the editor's desk.
Yeah, we were doing this thing where we do a weekly round, like a weekly recap, and it was a boring set of links. And then Phil Nickinson came up with this idea. And
set of links.
Phil is a brilliant bastard, and he decided to do an editor's desk thing, which is more common, I guess, in newspapers and magazines, but it was just a way for us to communicate directly with the community, and it was fantastic, so I totally ripped it off.
And I think you did a good job. It was a very interesting read. I like the fact that it covered not only the stories that we're covering, the manner in which we're doing it, but feelings and which way that the site is going. I like that a lot.
And I might have dropped some rumors in there just for fun.
There's a lot of rumors that we're dealing with, so
Yeah, so check it
it's
out.
kind of good to have them up there anyways.
If you read it, we will give you special content. Yes, I totally
There's
Samsunged
tricks.
Phil Nickinson. They're saying in the
There's
chat room.
Easter eggs in that.
Yeah. He was Samsunged.
We also have a post from Leanna. She's been doing some amazing things with photography. And yes, photography. And she discussed how to take amazing macro photos with your iPhone. And I don't know why, but photos, I love macro photos. That's why I love my Olloclip.
Yeah, she's actually been killing it with this series. We have been getting compliments left and right. It's a great series. She's taking you step by step through the basics, and then she's going to go on to more advanced techniques, and she's running it in the forum. So if you need help, you can get it. If you're a pro, if you're an expert, you can share your stuff. But imore.com/photography, it all lives there, and it is good.
Yes, because, the best camera is
The one you have with you.
the one you're carrying with you right now. So it's your iPhone. Use it, and she'll teach you how to make beautiful pictures with it.
Yep.
And I used some of her tips. I took some photos outside just recently because we had a beautiful snowfall and it was all stuck in the trees, and it worked.
Oh, we're all using them. I mean, that rule of thirds stuff has made our website pictures so much better already.
Yeah, unfortunately, my math isn't that good, but I have Leanna
Thirds.
calculate.
If you
and then I
have
do
3,
it.
you take one of them.
Yeah.
Leanna told me math was theoretical, so now I've lost all faith in the universe anyway.
In theory, she said math
Yeah,
is
I'm not
theoretical.
even going to bother anymore. 1 + 1 might as well equal a ham sandwich.
It just might.
Seth used to teach math. He knows what I'm talking about.
No, I did not.
Okay. He doesn't know what
I
I'm talking
never
about.
taught math.
All right.
He taught calculus. Didn't really count as math.
No, I took calculus. I did a lot of advanced math, but I never taught it.
Okay. Nothing.
Leanna doesn't consider calculus advanced math. Just saying.
See, Leanna
She's
told
way
me.
beyond that.
Leanna told me that math was theoretical, but Spock told me that nothing unreal exists. So I'm kind of torn right now.
I love Leanna really said it. Calculus isn't advanced.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do?
All right. Do we have any iPad or iPhone stuff this week? I mean, as much as I love
Yeah,
to
let's-
chit chat, I think we have an obligation to our audience to actually talk about the subject matter at hand.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Renee, you've been breaking some amazing stories, dates, and events. Can you tell us one about our latest set of events that are happening? And would you mind telling us a little bit, like, you're really rocking it with the dates?
Yeah, we heard 3 weeks ago that Apple was going to announce the iPad 3 on March 7th. And we're not always a rumor site. I mean, we link to a lot of rumors. We don't post a lot of our own rumors. We try to be careful and check them carefully. But you still always hold your breath. And then Apple put out the invitation yesterday, and lo and behold, it was March 7th. Nailed it.
So we were first and right.
All Things D said it was going to be first week of March. Some people disagreed with it, said it would be the earlier week, said it would be the Wednesday before. Some people weren't certain. We heard March 7th independently, and I believe, yes, we nailed the date. I don't want to talk about people being wrong about dates, though. I want to talk about us being right.
Right, and first, can I say that we were first? Is that a horrible thing to do?
I think we did. I think we said it. I took a victory lap
saying
before
it.
the show.
Go ahead, flame
All
me
right.
later.
All right. Her address is kevin@smartphoneexperts.com.
Thank you. Send all hate mail there.
Yes.
And
yeah.
so
So
tell us, what are we gonna see, Renee?
all right. So no, we have to prepare ourselves here because whenever an Apple invitation comes out, we do not talk about it. We dissect it. We analyze it. We take it apart like it's an Oliver Stone movie, and we're Zapruder filming it. We have to literally take out our jeweler's glasses and go over this thing because it has a picture of a finger on it. It's got an icon of a map, an icon of the calendar on Wednesday the 7th, and an icon of a keynote. Then it has text that says, we have something you really have to see, period. And touch, period. And then there's no home button on the iPad. Cue Twilight Zone music.
Unless it was flipped.
Flips, mom. Let's go through it step by step, though. I mean, piece by piece. Wednesday the 7th is the date. It looks like an iPad. The icons are similar to the iPhone icons from the last event. Seth, did anything surprise you about the invitation?
No, actually, nothing really surprised me. Frankly, it was exactly what I expected. Maybe the only surprise was that
The home button?
you actually saw a device in the invitation and not just like a
That's true.
screenshot or a logo with something and some shadows and things like that. I don't recall the last time we saw an invite that had the actual product in it.
I think there was one. It might have been a previous iPad one where it was peeling away, and you saw the round rect corner of it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Or
Yeah.
something like that.
So what about not having a home button?
Conspiracy. Oh, well, before people go crazy, Apple is not going to leak a new feature like bezel gestures in the invitation to a event. That is not how Apple rolls.
Okay.
Apple
And
would,
what is up
however,
with that?
Apple would, however, turn the thing upside down or Photoshop out a button just so that it doesn't interfere with the text or distract from the picture.
I don't know how I feel about the no home button thing. I'm not saying people are wrong. I'm just saying I don't know how I feel about it. I tried using the gestures on the iPad, you know, the 5-finger, 4-finger pinch, whatever it is, and it's okay, but it's like even when I was really trying to do it, it took me like 2 times to do it every time. Like I can never get it right on the first times.
George
and I
has
feel
got-
like George's got what?
Red hair like Scully, so that would make you Mulder.
I was wondering, and I thought that he was going to say something that was like insightful.
Yeah, Renee, I want to believe that there is a home button on the iPad 3.
All right, Leanna's
Right.
gone crazy over this, by the way.
I want to believe as well. I think that it would be crazy not to have a home button in the center screen. One is I really enjoy using the home button. Sometimes I don't actually enjoy using gestures. It's not something that I often do. And even when I use it on my laptop, if I'm doing anything on the screen, it's often by mistake that I've like swiped something away, and I'm angry about it afterwards.
Well,
Here's
so you
Go
know
ahead,
this, Seth,
Renee.
that if you hand somebody a BlackBerry playbook and they've never gone through the orientation video, you know how poorly discoverable those features are.
Right.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. Like I feel like as much as Apple is the kind of company that throws away the past and says that was then, we're doing this now and it's better and here's why, as much as they are the company to do that, I feel like taking that anchor point away from the kinds of people who use the iPad, and by that I mean really like it's a very mainstream product, and there's a lot of people that understand that one anchor point, that this is no matter what, if I push this, I go back to start. Like, I
Yes.
think taking that away is a little too risky. I can't see them actually doing that.
There was
And
a
you could
rumor
say
that
that there's
would.
going to be an on-off button at the top that they could use. It's just not the same experience, and it's not as quick.
Yeah.
There was a rumor from Boy Genius a long time ago that Apple was exploring taking the home button away, and I'm sure they do. I'm sure they have a prototype that doesn't have a home button because they try almost everything. But we have kind of heard that there's going to be a home button. MG Siegler, who has excellent sources at Apple, says there's going to be a home button. It hasn't stopped rumors running rampant on the internet because that's frankly why the internet was created. But I am fairly certain that there will be a home button, that this is just a bunch of noise.
I'll tell you this much too. I am always like finger searching for a home button on the Kindle Fire whenever I'm using it, and it's just
Right.
not there.
Yeah.
And I miss it. I really
Leanna's
do.
actually trolling me and flaming me in the chat room. This is outstanding.
That's why you should always be live.
Yeah.
Can I tell, if this is a little slight aside, but how I knew I had jumped over the edge to technology.
Jump the shark?
My iPad is that I was this is so embarrassing. But anyways, I might not be the only one that this has happened to. So I am reading the instructions on how to set up the Nexia home intelligence system, which we'll talk about later. And so I'm reading through the instructions on it. It's one large sheet of paper. And I actually used 2 fingers to try to scroll up the sheet of paper.
Nice.
Now,
That
I
is
can
an
say I
epic
was
win.
a little sleep deprived. It was early in the morning. But I thought when I did it, I went, oh my God, I have jumped like whatever shark.
The reality shark.
The geekdom increased when I did that. And I went, oh my God, I just tried to scroll paper.
No, that is epic win. That means that Apple has gotten into your head. That means you have drunken of the Kool-Aid and are now using of the multi-touch.
And it wasn't actually that I scrolled. It wasn't that I did it. It was that I was angry that it didn't work. There we go.
And then she
That
did
was
it
it.
again. It's not. I tried to reboot the piece of paper. It was beautiful.
I was a little bit upset. So talking about that, they say we have something that you really have to see, period,
Yes.
and then capital A, which I'm sure you love, Renee, and touch.
Oh, I have no problem with
Period.
beginning a sentence with an and. Yeah, so
Okay.
C is obviously the Retina display. Well, not
Yeah.
obviously, but I'm guessing that is the Retina
Probably.
display. Touch, I don't know. It's an iPad. It's got multi-touch. The question is, are there going to be surprises? Is this going to be a surprise piece of hardware, or is it going to be something that's pretty much an incremental upgrade of the iPad 2? Is there something hidden there, Seth? Is there a meaning that you can you actually carve this thing open, pull out its entrails, and do some anthropomancy on the iPad 3 invitation?
Well, if I had to really take a guess at this and really parse what they're saying, we have something we want you to touch doesn't seem to me like, hey, we've got this totally rad chipset. You're not going to touch that. You're not going to touch the GPU. You're not going to touch a bigger battery. You're not going to touch LTE. What you're going to touch is the software that all of the incremental hardware upgrades enable you to use in a more exciting way.
Okay, someone's saying in the chat room, Siri, but they would definitely say, I bet you can't wait to hear what we're like. They would put something about hearing in it. So I don't think that Siri is what they're aiming at here. Doesn't mean it won't be there, but it's kind of something that they would have
used like talk about.
Hear something exactly. you're gonna hear what we're talking about or something like that. The fact that they put and touch as a separate unit, as a separate sentence, it has to be something more than that. So. I don't think that gestures is enough in itself to kind of deal with. And just saying you're going to touch the iPad, they didn't have to make that, like, we all know that already. So having it be something separate from that doesn't seem like enough. Like it has to be more than gestures, no?
I like Seth's software thing. Maybe they have some outstanding new software to show us. I mean,
why would it be touch?
Because you have to touch the software to interact with it.
No, we don't.
I mean, we could be way overthinking this too, just in as much as we have something you really have to see. And it's basically, if you thought the Retina display looked great on an iPhone, you have to see this. Oh, by the way, it's an iPad, so you need to touch it. Don't forget.
But what about like they wouldn't have made it as a separate sentence starting with an and, which bugs a lot of people, unless it was something separate from what you had to see. It's more than just having a very cool iPad with Retina display.
But first of all, I mean, these are the people that called something the funnest iPod ever, so they're not afraid to get the stickers up in arms.
No, but it's to trigger us. It's to give us a hint.
I'm gonna skip along a little bit. Other possibilities. We'll see if we can figure it out, because there's a couple of things that we don't know that's still up for grabs. Maybe one of those will make sense. So we heard that it was going to be quad core. Some other sites have heard that it's going to be dual core. 9to5Mac found strings that indicates Apple has both quad core and dual core chipsets ready, the A5X and the A6. But we don't know if they're testing both and they're going to use the A5X as a fallback if, for example, the A6 uses too much battery power, or if they're for different devices. Maybe the A5X is destined for an Apple TV refresh and the A6 is going into an iPad. But the question I have is, do we really need quad core at this point in a tablet, Seth? Is there anything that quad core could give us that a really super optimized dual core couldn't?
No, honestly, I don't think so at this point. I think that tuning the software to work with a really optimized dual core processor would provide as good as, if not better, performance than what another quad core tablet might be able to do. I don't see that really being an incredible benefit to the software right now, because so much of what Apple does to kind of, so much of the, like, I hate to call it misdirection, but that really is what it is, because when you look at these things on paper, they're not all that impressive. So much of what makes these devices work so smoothly and feel so natural is the software tuning that they do to take the hardware and make everything work together like as such a little symphony that it's so smooth and so perfect that you would never care what hardware is in there. So I don't think there's
symphony.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much that a quad core chip would do that a really tuned dual core chip couldn't.
See, I thought at one point, Georgia, I thought that CNBC was confirming that there'd be a quad-core chip. This tweet went up that said, alert, quad-core iPad 3 with 4G LTE to be unveiled in New York next week. And first of all, my reaction was, New York City? Like almost like one of those salsa commercials, because that's just not like completely unbelievable. Apple never introduces new iOS devices in New York. But then they started getting some pushback, and people were like, New York City, that's crazy. What's the matter with people? What are you smoking in CNBC land? And then they said they started saying that they had one of their reporters on the scene, and he was discussing it, and the key location was going to be New York. And they started walking it back and walking it back. Then all of a sudden they tweeted clarification to earlier tweet. iMore blog reports Apple to unveil quad-core iPad 3 with 4G LTE next week. So cable station CNBC decided to use our story without crediting us. Attach a crazy New York rumor to it.
Under the bus.
Yes, and then deflect, dodge, and finally attribute it without a link. By the way, thanks for that, classy CNBC. On Twitter, about 5 minutes before the actual invitation went out. So that was, I had no words. I just took a screenshot of it and stared at it for a couple minutes because it was grotesquely.
Well, I guess that
intriguing.
goes to the is any press bad press? But there we have it. Yeah. Thanks for then finally throwing us under the bus after,
I just don't want to hear any more crap about, you guys are just bloggers. You're not mainstream media. And please.
Yeah, I think that becomes, the lines become more and more blurred as they, like say, we're tweeting this information out to you and do exactly the same things that we do, but perhaps without as much, at times, credibility. Or they're slower with things, which is my one issue when I go to some of the old school news media.
And some people try to blame us.
Like, really, that's like 2 weeks old.
Some people tried to blame us for the New York bit, but that was not us. We had nothing to do with it. We had no part of that New York bit. That was all CNBC.
Well, if you are looking to sell off your iPad, we have a story on how to sell your iPad before upgrading to the iPad 3. Probably one of the best things would be to sell it before the iPad 3 goes on sale.
That's why you put it up yesterday.
No, do this now. Take a look and do it before the next one comes up, because there's a lot of people that don't even know the next iPad. They're not actually taking a look around at what we're writing. And so they don't even know that one's coming. So if you really want to sell it for the best amount of money, you get the most money for it. You have to just trust in Apple and take that mental leap of faith to sell it before that 3 comes in.
You don't want to be the 300th person on the eBay bus.
Yeah, which is just right.
This other story interests the heck out of me, though, this Apple TV 3 rumor, because we've been hearing this since before Christmas, that Apple originally put out the Apple TV 2 the Christmas before last, and then didn't refresh it this year, which caused Seth to go buy a boxy box out of pure spite. But now it looks like we're going to get a souped-up Apple TV, maybe with 1080p content. But I don't know if that makes it any more compelling. The thing that makes it more compelling to me is the idea that Mountain Lion's going to let us stream stuff from our Mac to the Apple TV, because at that point, I am never transcoding anything ever again. I am never storing anything in iTunes ever again. I'm going to be running around like Mel Gibson with a blue face and a kilt on going, freedom!
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
You have to keep the cameras rolling for that, for sure.
For sure.
Airplaying from my Mac, being able to just stream things. It could be very interesting.
Is it?
I don't think.
Does anything tempt you to? What would tempt you to get one?
An Apple TV now that I'm
Yeah.
well invested in my boxy world?
Yeah.
It would have. I don't think they're going to release one without major content announcements. Like having the 1080p is great, having AirPlay everywhere is great, but if that's all they're going to announce and say, here's a new one, go buy it, I don't think they're going to do that. I think if they release one, there's going to be some kind of crazy new content deal to go along with it, because that I think is like the driving factor for that thing. Because right now, it's if you're not living in iTunes, with the exception of Netflix and maybe a couple more things, and maybe if you jailbreak, like it's not all that impressive in terms of like getting content. But if they were able to cut some deals with other services or with the studios themselves to say, hey, listen, we want to do more with this little box, let's make some deals. I think that could be compelling, and I think that's probably may be what they were waiting for. Maybe the reason they didn't release one is because they didn't have this stuff ironed out. I just don't see that product hitting another release without major content upgrades.
Right. Voodoo from the chat room mentions that it needs Siri voice as the controller, which would be really interesting, but I don't believe that that's going to be possible just with the size and processing that is inside of the Apple
It's the
TV.
microphone, right? I mean, like you'd have to use an interface.
Where is it going to be in comparison to your, like, if you're using it from your MacBook or something else, then I can see how it would kind of work out, but on its own, no, it's probably not going to be able to happen anything soon as it can be.
See, Betty All in the chat, who's a very smart, bright young man, says that they had him at 1080p and AirPlay. He doesn't need any stupid
1080p
content.
does not really, like, I like AirPlay. I love AirPlay. I think AirPlay is very useful, and I love my Apple TV. But, yeah, I'm not sure. And Sock says it has the same basic circuit board for the iPhone, and it should work fine. But you know, the mic to be able to hear it, where you're going to be located, are going to be the issues that they're going to deal with it. And I don't think that they've spent the time in order to implement that now.
I don't want to be like Mike Myers' father, talking inappropriately loud at my television when I'm trying to control it.
Which I wouldn't mind doing. I wouldn't mind doing. I'll be honest.
Television, switch to Netflix. Keep it down. Keep it down. Television.
We also have rumors of them working on both A5X and A6 chipsets for the next generation devices. And here we go. Apple may be working on a new audio format to enhance streaming and music quality, which, okay, you can pause on that. Just what's up with getting better
Don't do the speaker thing, please. Okay, I'm going to just insert the rant from last week.
Just insert rant here.
Yeah, just cut it in there.
That just angers me.
Drop a marker, cut it
It's a headphone company. They don't think that you use speakers. They believe that you plug in a good set of headsets and you're fine.
Yeah, well, and again, insert rant, turn it up to volume 10.
But this is interesting because they announced this mastered for iTunes process a week or so ago where they're trying to get better quality source material and store it at Apple. So if they ever upgrade the distribution, the audio would already be ready for them. And now this rumor is they're working on a better audio format. And Seth, you're my sound guy, my go-to musical guy. The conventional wisdom is that it doesn't matter how good the source material, because 256-bit AAC still sucks.
Yeah, I'm by no means an audiophile. I gave up that fight a long time ago and decided that convenience was more important to me. So, people can argue this until they're blue in the face, but that at its core, that's true. You're not going to get that much better sound quality out of the same kind of compression, just upping the bit rate. As far as I know, that's my understanding. I think so. If they wanted to do something that was significantly improved, they would have to introduce a new format. But at this point, it's kind of like, okay, you're going to introduce a new format now. They're probably in a position to do that because even though AAC wasn't really their format, they kind of spearheaded it and made it really kind of hit big in the market because there wasn't a whole lot of support for that because MP3 was so dominant. But I don't really know. I don't know enough about, audio compression and what's really current to even speculate as to what they're doing. I will say that I'm skeptical about new formats because unless there's really something special, it just smells like Sony's A-Track, whatever the heck that was.
One of their debacles.
Yeah. I just want to be able to listen to things and have them be loud enough. That they're nerfing the amount of volume that can go through still freaks me out constantly.
Protect your ears.
It gets me really upset. And you actually posted something that got a lot of people upset and riled up about, Renee.
Nice segue.
Thank you. Which another thing that they may be ditching along with the home button is...
Yeah, a little birdie told us that the traditional dock, the one that's been there since, I forget, the third generation iPod, Apple's getting ready to ditch it. Probably not for the iPad 3, almost certainly not for the iPad 3, but for the iPhone 5 because... they went to the micro SIM because they needed more space inside. They took the antenna and put it on the outside so they'd have more space inside. And the dock port is still this big, chunky 30-pin monstrosity. And it sounds like...
It's huge.
It's
big.
If
you can take a look, they could put some speakers in there if they
got
rid of that.
Oh, here we go again.
Apologize.
It's
huge.
It's and they're not going to replace it with something like the Touchstone, inductive charging like Palm. They're not going to replace it with Thunderbolt because Thunderbolt is PCI Express and the iPhone is not. But they might replace it simply with a smaller dock connector because people are using it less. You have AirPlay, AirPrint, Wi-Fi sync, iCloud. You just don't need it as much, and it sounds like a pretty smart idea to me.
It makes sense, though. When you open up your phone, it does not take it's not a huge amount of space inside of the phone, though.
More than the micro
long,
SIM is.
But yes, that's true. In comparison to a micro SIM, it is a lot of space.
They booted that thing to the curb.
Right. So, yeah, they might just be getting rid of it, which would make a lot of sense.
You could charge. They're asking the chat from charging. You could charge from a micro dock because it would be the same. It would have the same charging pins. They'd probably have an adapter for people who have older accessories for a while. It would screw some accessories, but Apple has always been fearless. Like Seth, they got rid of the floppy.
Come up with something completely different.
Yeah, they'll definitely sell a $30 adapter for a while. That's a given. That's guaranteed.
Yeah, and then what are we going to do? What are we going to do with all of these connectors that I have everywhere?
You have to buy a $30 adapter for each and every one.
Another thing, how to eBay all of your dock connectors before.
Yeah.
That's something, though, that they're going to have to really spin that pretty fast and hard when they talk about that, because there's such a giant amount of 30-pin docks themselves and accessories that to just say, we're going to do this now is going to obviously infuriate people, but here's an adapter you can buy, but half your stuff probably won't work anymore.
But if you remember,
they don't care though, do they?
No, they got rid of FireWire charging in the 3GS. It went from FireWire to USB charging, and everyone's devices that can't charge with this accessory.
Yeah.
And they didn't really care.
No.
I wonder if they're going to try to say, like, freeing up this space will allow us to do so many other wonderful things in the phone. Because, the truth of the matter is that, it doesn't take up a lot of room when you kind of look at it. But when you're getting down to that, microelectronic level with those components, every single tiny little bit of space they can eke out of that thing counts.
Well, look at the competing, like if the iPhone 5 goes LTE, and we've heard that it is going to be LTE, all the other LTE devices on the market are huge, and they are not huge because they want to be huge. They're huge because LTE radios and the batteries that go along with them are huge. And Apple apparently is not going to make the iPhone much, if at all, any bigger. So they're going to have to find space for that radio and that battery somewhere.
Renee, talking about being cute, are you going to show off the iCloud Harmony commercial that Apple has set out, trying to push what iCloud brings to you?
Can I show it now?
Yeah, please.
All right, let's go. Cute. Catchy. Cool.
First thing that kind of comes out at you?
For me, well, everything is initiated on an iPhone. iCloud does work. Like, you can initiate iCloud on iPad, on iPod Touch, which wasn't even shown, by the way. No iPod Touch was shown in this commercial. But they show everything starting off with an iPhone, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Talking about that they don't show an iPod Touch, you don't think the Touch has to do with iPods. It would only be for the iPad, right?
Could they have a new iPod Touch, 5-inch iPod Touch? Let's start some rumors.
Like the and Touch, I'm just wondering.
Maybe. They didn't update the iPod Touch in September.
Like, it just seems, I don't know. Gives me that,
Let's start some rumors.
To the Twitters!
Let's start some rumors for once. Yeah, let's just do that. Maybe CNBC's listening.
Nice. But I thought it was a great... iCloud doesn't work that seamlessly.
There's no words.
No, they only have words when they use Siri. Other
No.
commercials.
Ooh, I'm waiting for Kyoto.
Oh yeah, but no, there was no words. It was very simple. It was trying to show you how easy iCloud makes your life if you buy into the Apple ecosystem. And the keywords were automatic everywhere iCloud, and that was what they were showing off. And what's interesting
It
also,
did not give me the same feeling, though, that their commercials usually do.
like it wasn't Santa Claus or
It was
someone.
not as touching.
It didn't magically touch you in your special place.
It wasn't.
Did you really just say that, Seth?
Well, you're the one who always goes to the gutter with it, Georgia.
The chat room just went like whoosh. A whole
Yeah.
bunch of-
Yeah. All right. So
Moving
but
along.
it wasn't nostalgic or sentimental. I mean, it wasn't a blind person being able to communicate for the first time or a deaf person being able to communicate for the first time. It wasn't someone seeing their baby born long distance or using Siri to talk to someone important. It wasn't one of those nostalgic commercials. It was more of a light, airy kind of an iPod-y commercial.
Well, we have a name for the podcast.
I don't know if I can use that.
But it doesn't. It wasn't.
Maybe
as-
that's what touch means in the invitation. Never mind.
See, now it's getting dirty. Now it's getting dirty.
Well, they don't usually sell accessories, so
Yeah. Oh, but there was a rumor of a magical new accessory that's going to come out with the Apple TV3. It's got a part number but no name. There you go. Mystery solved. Georgia nailed it.
yeah, I'm not going there either.
All right, can we switch that to apps? We have to give apps
Yes,
some
let's head
attention.
down to apps, please.
So this is one of those things that just annoys the hell out of me. And I'm going to write an editorial one day called Welcome to Mobile, because it's a bunch of really intelligent, computer-savvy journalists who just don't understand mobile and keep like discovering this stuff years later. So we had that brouhaha with apps uploading your contact information. And for years now, we've known that if you grant an app permission to use your location, which means it can have EXIF data, even if you don't, apps can take your photographs and upload them. That's how Instagram works. That's how Camera Plus works. That's how any photo editing app works. So the New York Times published an article going, "Oh, OMG, people can rip off your photos." And yeah, they've been able to do that for 2 years. So good on them. Good. They pointed this out. It is an issue. Apple has acknowledged it. They're finally going to try to fix it. So the attention was good. But just the sensationalism around this stuff is a little bit egregious at this point, I think.
I think that it's a valid point, if nothing else.
They should have published it 2 years ago. They should have been reading sites like ours and other mobile sites that were talking about this 2 years ago and, lent their weight behind it then. It's not like they act like it's some new discovery that they put on their Sherlock Holmes hat, started moving
Yeah, but
letters in the air and figured out.
As with everything, when something hits the mainstream, it's usually a while after that people that really, care about things and or are, doing studies in the field, they already know about it. So at least the masses are now aware that, people don't even know that when they use, say, their company's email, that, the person that administers the email can read everything. If they so choose.
Google reads all
They're
your
shocked by these
Gmail.
things. They
You know
could
what?
if they so wish.
Your carrier knows everyone you call.
No, people do not know this. This is the person behind the screen.
Read. It's kind of like, are you saying it's like breakdance or skateboard movies that they come out like 2 years after the lamest person gave the activity up?
That's pretty much. God, I remember those breakdance movies. Some of them were kind of good.
They were never
So let's
good.
let's go all the way back to the preview that you showed at the beginning of the show, the pre-show preview.
Oh, yeah.
If you love Marvel and comic books and are heading out to see the Avengers movie, they really don't send me anything for that. Marvel comic books is now available in iBooks.
Yeah, I tried it out, and here's the thing: iBooks is great for books, like for textbooks, like novels and nonfiction books. iBooks is not good for storybooks, picture books, and it turns out comic books. Normally, you can just page through that wonderful page-turning action for normal books, but for like the Bloom County books, the Marvel books, the kids books, you flip a page, then you have to slide it across, and then flip a page again, and it's not a good user interface. I prefer the Comixology app for comics still. Apple really needs to update the UI and just make it a single page turner like regular books.
Seth, do you read comics on your iPad, or would you?
I have, and it's an okay experience, but I'm not in love with it. I wanted it to feel better, and since comics are so close to that size, I feel like there's no reason why it can't just be like a one-to-one kind of page thing. And I feel very strongly that these companies are going in the wrong direction with magazines and comics and books, trying to like cram all this crazy functionality in and all the zooming and extra content. Like all I really want, and from speaking to people, all I've heard is just give me the thing on there so I can read it. I don't need all the extra bells and whistles. I just want my thing on there. And so the simpler you can make it for me to get my content where I want it, the more inclined I will be to buy it there. So if the comics were like a one-to-one experience where I felt like I was picking up the comic and actually reading it, and there was nothing else getting in my way, I'd be great with it. But it's not quite right for me.
It's also not packaged and priced properly. I mean, it should be like music, like the 99-cent music apps. I mean, some of the comic books are $6. They have Marvel Masterworks for $16, which is really nice. But for example, you can get Volume 1 of Astonishing X-Men for $10. I want to get all of it.
$10.
I don't want to get 6 issues for $10. I want to, if the hardcover is available with everything in it, that should be available on iBooks at a competitive price with everything in it. They've had a lot of good luck selling $10, 300-page textbooks. Obviously comics, they have art and stuff, and it's a laborious process, but there should be some middle ground where it's a fair price for a good chunk of content. And until they do that, I don't think it's going to take off.
Yeah, comics are expensive.
Comic books themselves increase in value depending on who their artist is, how limited the edition is. You're not going to get anything. You can't even sell, unless you sell it with your iPad, what you have on it in the first place.
And I can't lend it unless I lend my whole iPad. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that you give up by having electronic version, and that should be recognized in the price.
Yeah, but the reason comics go up in price is because there's limited availability. With digital content, there's no limited, there's not a finished print run of which you cannot obtain any more of this thing.
You could say there's a $500 exclusive comic and sell it to Kevin Mitchell, and you'll probably make some money.
You could. And you could have a limited digital print run where you only have X number of copies like Disney does, and then they put them back in the vault for a while.
Can I rant about something else while we're on our rant night, Georgia?
Yeah, please do the rant, because I really like this rant of yours. Go for it.
I've been trying to review Adobe Photoshop Touch for 3 days, and it's been one of the most excruciating, difficult reviews I've ever had to do, because I wanted to title it The Triumph and the Tragedy of Photoshop Touch, because I'm really having a hard time with it. Photoshop is, in some ways, it's analogous to the actual real Photoshop application. And we had an episode of Iterate with Dave Wiskus talking about the problems inherent in Photoshop. And Adobe had a chance here. This is a clean new code base for a new class of device. But they decided to make it an Adobe Air project. From on high, the bosses at Adobe said, you have to use our development process platform. You can't make a native application. So it doesn't behave the way an iPad application does. And that's okay, that's fine. I mean, arguably, Tweetbot, it doesn't look like a normal iPad app. But using Adobe Air just kind of creates these limitations and abstractions that you can feel in the app. It performs okay, it works well, but it kind of loses some usability. And there's all these weird constraints, like the page size is very small. Maybe that has to do with the iPad, but it doesn't open Photoshop files. In order to open Photoshop files, you have to have an Adobe Cloud account. You have to have a cloud account on your Mac, and that only works with the latest version of Photoshop. And there's all these asterisks that just drive you crazy after a while.
Okay. Is the main issue, though, and I this is a little psychological, so I apologize for this, but is the main issue with it that they're calling it Photoshop? So you're expecting the usability, and Photoshop is for people that are doing a little bit more than what you would do of just, cropping photos, flipping them, changing the side, doing minor corrections. If they had called it something else other than Photoshop, do you think that because they called it that, your expectations are much higher and it attracts a different user base than what would be for what this application is able to do?
I think that's absolutely true. And I think Seth will identify with this. So I tried to do actual projects that we would use it for on iMore. So for example, I tried to cut out something, and they have good mechanics for cutting out stuff, but the accuracy is abysmal. It makes really bad looking edges. And I refuse to use anything that has bad looking edges. If you're just doing something quick to send to a friend, fine. But I can't produce the kind of work I want to with this. It's too complicated for a novice, I think, but not accurate enough for a professional. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the case too, as long as we're expected to kind of do these things on this tablet that's that size with our fingers, where most of us are used to using like super precise laser mice that we have tuned to meet our specific needs and workflows. I'm sorry, but I'm still chuckling internally at Georgia using the word usability right after Photoshop earlier.
Yeah.
I thought I thought I thought that was pretty funny. I just had to mention that. But no, Renee, I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a level of precision that is missing for professionals who are used to living in Creative Suite apps. And for regular people, they look at it and they're like, wow, this is so not for me. There's way too much going on here.
Now there's an issue
Is
with
the pinching to zoom helpful though?
well, so
Because the one thing with Photoshop is like, having to like, like manually increase it. Like, it must be nice to just, is there some things that are good about it?
So here's the thing. So first of all, they are somewhat limited by iPad hardware. So there's only so many multi-touch sensors in the device. But I can use a touchpad on a MacBook or on the Magic Trackpad and cut the hell out of stuff. It doesn't stop me at all. I'm used to doing really accurate stuff with that. I can't with this. If you pinch to zoom, you can move around, but you can't just grab it and move. It doesn't feel like the way you expect, like the way a lot of stuff like Paintbrush does, a lot of other drawing apps do on the iPad. It's kind of like I said, it's brilliant in some ways, incredibly powerful. There's a lot of really smart stuff, but I'm having a hard time using it.
But you wouldn't be the average run-of-the-mill user either.
No, but I think again, it's a bit complicated for I mean, they could learn. There's a bunch of really nice tutorials at the beginning. It shows you how to do a lot of stuff, but it just doesn't do it. It tries to be auto magic, and it's not auto magical enough.
And here's the thing to remember: while it is probably a decidedly more mainstream product, people that aren't using Photoshop on their computers now probably have no need for it, and hence there's no real lure for them to get this app when there's like 50 million other probably easier photo editing apps that they can be using for a fifth of the price.
And the last thing,
Pixelmator on the chat room is what people are.
Yeah, people
seeming.
want Pixelmator.
Yeah, that app's wonderful.
The last thing is though that it's a $10 app. It's not hundreds and hundreds of dollars the way Photoshop is. So you have to take that into account. But even the big version of Photoshop has a god-awful Flash-based interface instead of using native controls. So it's like a pattern with Adobe, and I think it's to their detriment. They're a content creation company, and they buy analytics and they buy platform creation tools and want to lock people down to it, and it ends up ruining the thing that they're really good at. And I hope they change their mind about that and just become a wonderful content creation company again. End of my rant.
Fair enough.
I'll just say yes, Renee. I agree.
Yes,
Nice.
Agree. One vote. Apple has acquired Chomp, and is this really going to make searching for applications that I want easier? Can anything make searching for applications an easier experience? I'll throw this one to Seth.
There's a lot of work here, right? The App Store, just in terms of the sheer volume of the App Store, finding stuff has become a bit of a problem for people, because I spend a lot of time looking for apps, and the search is sometimes right on the money, depending on what it is you're looking for. And other times you get a whole lot of junk along with it. So it's hard to get discoverability. And this is a problem that a lot of developers are facing too. They don't know how to actually get their app to surface in front of the people who would want to buy it, because the top 100 kind of system is so clogged with like games and like cheap, silly things that people like, but because of the way it's structured, that stuff just floods to the top and sits there and stays there. So
Right.
Chomp is a third-party company that has some different kind of search mechanics for finding things, and I guess different math crunchy stuff that brings other apps to the forefront, so you can actually see the things you're looking for. Apple acquired them, and I guess the assumption is that they're going to take the brains there and kind of use their thinking as to how they've been searching through the app content to make it a little bit more relevant. I'm sure they're not just going to take the Chomp software and dump it into the App Store, because it doesn't seem like something they do. When they acquired Siri, they really gutted it and overhauled it and made it something completely different, but obviously still having roots in what it started as. So hopefully this acquisition will give people better results when they're searching, but it's a giant job ahead of them.
Just don't keep the name this time. You can keep Siri, but don't keep Chomp. Just chomp it on the App Store.
I think Chomp's kind of cute, though. It makes me think of Pac-Man.
Yeah, but 9 to 5 Mac heard that they're completely...
It appeals to my retro...
Your retro vibe. 9 to 5 Mac heard that they're completely renovating, redoing the App Store and maybe iTunes, so this could be part of that.
Oh, please tell me that's true.
Well, Mark Gurman says it is, and he's on Twitter, so it has to be true.
iTunes needs to go out behind the tree at the farm and be put down. Honestly, it's way past its prime.
Yeah.
And yeah.
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 I'll have to see.
They have to keep it around though, because iTunes is cross-platform, and they need a single monstrous entity to port to Windows, and they're not going to put too much effort into it. So having one monolithic program, they can wrap up in all sorts of DLL hells and drop on Windows and revenge for Mac Office. It's probably convenient.
Do they really need to have iTunes and an App Store? Why can't they just have like the Apple Store? You can get everything.
Oh, then it'd be worse. It would just be iTunes renamed. Then it would still be a big monolithic hulk.
But they have, they have the Mac App Store.
And
Mac App Store is its own entity. That's already splintered. You know what I mean?
Because you don't need that on PC.
I know, but why can't we just leave iTunes on the PC and start over here?
Yeah, oh, that's right. Curse the Windows users with iTunes while we get the new stuff.
Listen, that's the way it goes. We don't get all of the things Microsoft is churning out. Obviously, Microsoft Office on PC is way different than it is on the Mac.
Yeah, it's good.
It's usable.
Yeah. And conversely, Windows 8 consumer preview is out today, and just the thought of iTunes running on Metro kind of makes me sad. A little sad. All right, well, accessories, Georgia. What do you got for us?
Let's head down to some accessories. So I've been covering a lot of accessories. There's one that I'm going to keep for Zen and Tech, actually. So you can wait for that one, because it kind of deals with our topic. But I have been reviewing the SGP.
Oh wait,
glass.
Let me go full screen on you, because that thing is awesome. Oh, where's the case? I need to see the case.
This is the glass screen protector. Oh, the case?
Yeah.
You mean the edging?
No, the SGP case, man.
I have that too. It's just not here with.
Okay.
All
right, next time.
Case is upstairs. I'll have to grab the case. The case is probably one of the. I'll go and grab case or screen for case. Okay. This is the glass. The only thing with the glass screen protector, though they say that it has like a hardness rating, I already have a crack in mine.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it has a little crack. These do not, they fall and actually they break, and they're hard to take off. So that's the only thing. I love the feel. I love the fact that it's protecting my phone, but it's cracked. And the other one on my other phone, it's also cracked. This one's on my hubs.
Nice. Trying to suck around though.
He wanted one when he saw me install the other one. He says like put that baby on mine, and it's also got some cracks on it. So. But
is that conceivably protecting your phone from damage? Or that's something that would not have damaged
when I drop my phone, it actually does not crack.
Yeah, knock wood, darn it.
They're both. I'd used 2 of them, and they're both cracked. Okay. They both have chips.
How's your convex bubble button?
I like the button. I actually like. I know some people can't stand it, and there were some complaints when they did the reviews of why they couldn't have made a concave button for it. But I actually like the fact that it's soothing. Here we go. Here's probably this is the SGP case, and it is stunning.
Yeah, that thing's hot.
It is actually probably one of the nicest cases, because I have the Unusuals case underneath it.
The rainbow Apple logo backplate.
But that would be your silver logo, actually. And I love it. This I love. Out of all cases, this one's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's a nice looking case.
Kind of thick. Only slightly. It's not. I actually used the Casemate case, which was thicker for a longer time. But this, love it. Beautiful.
Are you going to review that for us?
There's many different colors you can get it in, silver and silver, black, and blue, I think. There's some other colors.
And you're going to be reviewing
So
that for
this is
us?
the yes, this will be written up. Plus, again, we have the scale from before, have
Yep.
the glass, and the next case that I'm going to try are going to be the white diamond cases. So these are going to be the next ones that are going to go on. I'm going to probably keep actually the little sparkle edging that I have on my case as well, because it's a little less chance of dropping it.
Now,
It's
some
got a
people
little
were
bit-
asking if that edging affected any of your cases. Did you have any trouble putting any cases on with that edging?
It can scuff them if it's a very tough case, because these are like a sticker design. It can cut to the edges, so it has spaces here, and it'll catch the edges slightly.
Okay, but it doesn't
that's the
stop
only
you from
thing.
putting it in the case.
No, it does
Okay.
not stop from putting it into the case. It just could damage the fact that it's there. And also, what I'm reviewing right now is really cool, which is the Nexia Home Intelligence System, which is a full security system with cameras that you can monitor and take a look at from your iPhone, from anywhere.
Yes.
So I can lock doors, unlock doors, turn on lights, all from a touch of a button. From anywhere, I can let people in or lock people out of my house.
Now, people might know this as SlashLink. That was the old name. They've rebranded as Nexia.
Yes.
So they do all
So-
sorts of home automation stuff.
Oh yeah, and it's amazing. Not being able to, not having to carry a key around is the best feeling in the world. And wherever you are, if you're on vacation, you can just click on your cameras, have it connect out, and here we go. Let's take the front instead. I'm doing the downstairs, and you can just always take a look at how your house is doing.
They want to know what happens if
What
you
if
lose
you
your
lose
phone.
your
Can you
phone?
not get in the house?
Well, no, you can always key lock yourself in and out, and you only if you can only change the codes if you have the master. So even with your phone, you cannot do that. You need to have your master lock.
They also have
And
buttons,
as-
right?
Yes, and it has a locking system, a passcode, so you don't have to worry about that. People aren't going to be messing with it. And here we go. Here's the outside of my house.
Hold on, let me go full screen on you.
No stalking.
Go back. I see people from the chat room out there already. Oh, it's those nickelfish terrorists.
And
Nice.
there we go.
Nice.
You can
That's
take.
that's
you
good.
can-
Let's perpetuate that one.
So you could be on vacation, Seth, and you could look and see what's happening at your house. And if, for example, Justin wanted to stop by and get your Stormtrooper cookies, you could unlock the door remotely for him. He could go in and get it. You could make sure he didn't touch your Boba Fett cookies
yes,
and
if
leave.
your in-laws are coming by, you can be like, don't worry, I don't have to give you a key, so they can stop by anytime. I'll just unlock you out. You call me and let me know. Plus, the coolest part is that it has a light dimmer, so you can either have your phones to
Oh, your phone just turned off.
time them, and you can. Well, it's resetting, and you can change whatever lighting you can. You can turn on your lights, turn off your lights.
So it's like the
Still
Big
within
Bang
it.
Theory. You could theoretically give the code to someone in China and then wait and watch them as they change your lights for you.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
Listen, I am enamored with these kinds of things. I think they're like the coolest things ever. But I sometimes have problems getting email and sending text messages. So if somebody's waiting on my stoop to get in my house and I'm out of the country and I'm trying to unlock the door for them, I'm gonna wager that it's not gonna work.
I
quite
can't connect to the network now, Seth.
Yes.
Yeah,
no, I
I'm
did
s-
not have a springboard fail on my phone since I use it with me all the time, and I don't charge. It died on me, so I apologize.
Heroic.
But here we go. I'll show you how the light dimmer can work. So you can just kind of turn your phone off, dim it down for yourself. You can play Poltergeist while other people are in your house.
I'm not going to mention any names, but I was on the phone with somebody who has a $2,000 BlackBerry and his phone ran out of juice and the phone call ended. So that happens. No names.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The $2,000 does not buy you a bigger battery.
No, unfortunately not.
Cool. So Leanna also looked at the Fitbit for us as part of Fitness Month. And this was actually cool. Mercedes-Benz is integrating the iPhone 4S and Siri into their A-class vehicles. So if you have a Merc, if you're like the guys from Top Gear or something, you get full Siri integration. And it actually looks pretty interesting.
For the Fitbit,
Yes.
would that be better than using your Nano with the little tiny walking thing? Is it more accurate?
I don't know. It does more than your Nano does. It's more like the Jawbone Up or the Nike. I forget what the Nike thing is named.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But it's a different class of device. It's not just a pedometer. It measures all that different sleep and activity and whatnot. It's a whole.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I like the look of it actually as well. The dashboard for it is beautiful.
And Adam reviewed it for Crackberry too, so you can get two different takes on it.
Everybody that has them seems to really like them.
Absolutely. That's the interesting thing, is that we're looking at automotive and health, and it used to be, and I think we've talked about this before, but it used to be how you get your charger and your case, your black case, and you'd be fine because that's all you needed. But now we have all that, and we want to be able to do other stuff with our devices, like control our houses or control our cars, or take care of our health. And it's amazing the kind of innovative stuff people are coming up with to let us do all this.
Yeah,
I just want it to be easier. I want it to track things, write things down for me, because I don't like to do that. So having, say, my scale be able to upload my weight as it is, which has actually helped. Like, I'm actually thinking a little bit more about what I eat and how I'm doing in working out. It's a little bit fun with
Nice.
the Weething scale. And that's what I want.
The last thing, because we're running a little bit low on time, I want to make sure we get this in, because this is just for Georgia. I sent this to Georgia. She blogged it with glee, with lust in her speaker-deprived heart. But it's Zuka. It's kind of like a Jawbone Jambox, but it's purpose built to actually like slide onto your iPad and improve, what did you call it, the tiny tinny sound with giant powerful speakers.
Yes, and again, 5 times the sound is good for me.
Nice.
Comes in many different colors. Glow in the dark special edition. Cool.
And you're going to review this too?
Yes, and it'll run for 8 hours on a single charge. And we're going to be taking a peek at it. Does it really work? Does it slip off? How is it going?
Maybe we'll put it up against the Jambox and just see, which speaker reigns supreme.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Seth Clifford?
Yes.
What do you think of them apples?
I think that's terrific. I can't wait.
That comment is so much more meaningful doing this podcast.
Yes.
So that seems to have brought our podcast to a close. Seth, thank you so much for joining us for another week.
Thank you for having me.
You might not be here to make friends, but you might have anyways.
Oh, that's special and fun.
I love how genuine Seth is. And if you want to be Seth's friend, here's how to reach him.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Seth Clifford. I'm on the iMore Show and on Iterate with Renee and Mark Edwards of Bjango. And if you'd like to check out some of our work that we do, the apps and sites that we build, you can visit our website. It's nfidm.com. We are Nickelfish.
And someone else who has a lot of friends. Thank you so much, Renee, for joining for another podcast. How many podcasts are you at now?
I guess we're pretty close to 300.
1,000,
maybe close to
2,000,
300, maybe. Yeah.
600?
No, maybe close to 300, I think.
Altogether?
Maybe more. I don't know.
I think you're a little bit over that.
I can't count that high.
At some points, you're like doing 5 a week.
I'm mathlexic.
Leanna, we need you.
Why, Georgia? You look like someone just walk over your grave.
That probably happened. So how can they find you, Renee?
You can find me at Renee Ritchie on Twitter, plus Renee Ritchie on Google. And you can find me at www.imore.com. And no matter where you find me, just say hi, because I actually like hearing from you people.
Yeah, we really do. We absolutely enjoy hearing from everyone. It's really, really interesting. If you want to be my Huckleberry, you can find me on the email on www.imore.com and also on Twitter at GeorgiaTIPB.
Sweet.
And you can reach all of us on Twitter at wait, it's so not at Tippy.
Yeah, you're supposed to just roll with those things, Georgia.
Yeah, it's so not. Like, that's so old
It'll
school.
redirect.
Horrible. It's horrible. You can find all of us on Twitter at imore. You can also email us at podcast@imore.com. Leave a comment when the webcast web show goes live. We're here every Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Let's try that again. Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern at www.imore.com/live for all our podcasts, audio and video, including iPhone and iPad Live, ZenonTech, Super Functional, Iterate, and many more. See mobilenation.com/shows. If you haven't already, please subscribe to all our shows in iTunes and leave a rating. It means a lot to us, helps other people find the show. And I have to say, thank you everyone who comes live to watch the show. It means a lot. It's so much more fun.
Nice.
Bye, guys.
Nice.
Oh, and stick around. ZenonTech is coming up.
ZenonTech coming up next.